All right, folks. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Holy Purpose Podcast. So, this episode is a little bit different. All of the other episodes that you hear, the ones previous to this and those following, most of them, were all recorded in 2023. They were all recorded toward the latter part of the year. As you probably heard or will hear, in 2023, about halfway through the year, I took a little bit of a break from the music department. And so this freed me up. Oh my goodness. It freed up so much time. I spent a whole lot of time writing, reading, studying more, working on songs, and I ended up starting this podcast. So I recorded maybe 10 episodes during this time. And so a lot of what you're hearing is from then. But now it is January 9th. Today is January 9th. And I wanted to talk about something that's relevant to this month, this week. I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions. Now you see why I couldn't wait and put this at the end of all of the other ones, because that would put us in like March, because all of the episodes for January and February have already been recorded. But I wanted to sort of talk about New Year's resolutions. The way that I feel about New Year's resolutions, it's probably similar to how a lot of us feel, is that they may be somewhat useless. I know that over the years, I've made lots of New Year's resolutions and fail pretty much every time. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way. So much so that most of the people that I talk to or that I have spoken to recently, I've asked them what their New Year's resolutions are, and they kind of roll their eyes and they're like, I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore. And I tend to lean that way as well. I just think it's, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and hoping to get a different result. So yeah, I don't really make a list of things that I want to do differently for the year. I do, however, I attempt to sort of reinvigorate my attention and my pursuit of certain things that I've already been trying to do better at. So I don't put too much pressure and expectation on myself to do something that is foreign or to accomplish something that I've failed at accomplishing every single year. I don't set the same resolutions and goals over and over again. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking about what happens when we actually create resolutions. Now, I want to kind of approach this from a different angle, in that a resolution really is a goal. And so I think the problem that we have with New Year's resolutions is that we set them, but we don't make them as we would make a goal that is attainable. Or we make resolutions that are sort of the overarching idea, a thing that we want to accomplish, but we never actually go through and detail out the steps to get there, the goals that lead us there. So I was thinking about that recently, that resolutions are not a bad thing. Resolutions are really just us goal setting for the year. And that's something that we should do. Setting goals and benchmarks and things to pursue after, and, targets to hit, targets to aim for. All of these things are good. All of these things are beneficial. We need them because life can get very repetitive and mundane. We can get into this lull where we're just going through the motions and we're doing sort of the same things every day, every week. And it's important for us to sort of reinvigorate our pursuits and our goals and our hopes and our dreams and the reason why we're doing some of the things that we're doing. We have to sort of refocus and get ourselves back in alignment with our purpose, our pursuits, our goals that we're trying to reach and the things that we're trying to accomplish. And so goal setting and setting these resolutions, but making sure that they contain goals that are attainable, things that we can sort of break down and work toward accomplishing, that is important. When I think about New Year's resolutions now, I think about expectancy. When you set these goals and you're sort of refocusing yourself toward a particular pursuit, what you're doing is you're creating a level of expectancy. And I wrote this thing a while back when I was doing a study about faith and expectancy. There are three main things that show up when you have expectancy. Number one, preparation. Number two, awareness. And number three is positioning. Now, there are so many examples that I can use for all three of these, but when someone is expecting, there's going to be a level of preparation that is present, that is apparent. When you're expecting a child, you begin to prepare for that child. You begin to get your house ready. You begin to plan names for that child. You start thinking about how you're going to provide for that child. Because you're expecting, you begin to prepare in order to properly handle what it is that you're going to receive. So the first thing that you're going to see when someone has expectancy is preparation. And number two, awareness. When you're expecting something, you're going to be acutely aware of the signs that are going to show you when that thing is arriving. If you're expecting a package from Amazon, you're going to make sure that you have your app turned on, your notifications turned on, so that you can be aware when that package shows, especially if that package is something of high value or very important. You're going to make sure that you're aware of when that package arrives. Why? For number three, positioning, so that you can be there to receive it when it gets there. A person that has expectancy is going to properly position themselves to receive what they're waiting for. And so when we make these goals and we set these sort of benchmarks for ourselves throughout the year, what we're doing is we're moving forward in our year or through our year with expectancy. That's what's going to motivate us to begin to prepare and to set things in order so that we can accomplish those goals that we're pursuing. That's what's going to bring us into focus so that we can be aware of the signs that indicate the arrival of what we're expecting. And setting those goals and making clear the vision of our pursuits for the year, that's what's going to cause us to be in the right place with the right positioning to receive what it is that we're expecting. That's what's going to help us to prepare our hearts so that our hearts can be in the condition that they need to be in order to receive what we're pursuing or what we're expecting. So I think setting goals and New Year's resolutions, I think that is in the same vein of faith and expectancy, and that they're not only important, but I think that they're crucial. So I would encourage you guys. I know how you feel about New Year's resolutions. I know that they're hard. I know that we may fail every single year, but setting the goal and having the mark that you're pressing toward is the important part. And that's the amazing thing about the grace and the goodness of God, is that we can fail and we can fall and we can mess up, but he still gives grace for us to get up and do it again. And so we can apply the same mindset to our New Year's resolutions. Even though we may fail every single year, we can get up and pursue again, because it's not necessarily about being perfect, but it's about pressing toward the mark and being consistent with doing that. So guys, don't throw out your New Year's resolutions. At least set them, write them down, write the vision, make it plain. And what you may need to do is sort of go write some subsections below the vision, some smaller goals that are more attainable, that you can work toward, so that you can start seeing some smaller successes that might motivate you and inspire you to continue past the place that you may have failed the year before. All right, folks. So that's all for this episode. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for the support that has been pouring in, the messages, the likes, the subscribes, all of the things, the comments. This is letting me know that this podcast is being a blessing, and that is the only thing that I care about. I know that I'm called to communicate the gospel, and I know that I'm called to try and reach people and teach people and to help people, but it helps and it is reassuring when there is feedback and the feedback is positive. So thank you guys for all of your feedback and all of your support. I pray that you would take a moment and maybe share an episode of the podcast, whichever one you feel ministered to you. Let somebody else know about it so that maybe they can be blessed as well. Once again, thank you for listening to the Holy Purpose Podcast.